What do you do when you have a high-end product that's a little bit of a niche market? How do you make the people around you aware of what it is that you're selling and why it's so valuable? Today, I'm interviewing a farmer who raises Berkshire pigs, and we're going to hear her story about how she has created a market for herself. Let's get started.
Hey there, this is Corinna Bench, and welcome to the My Digital Farmer podcast. In today's market, it's not enough to just grow your product. You've got to know how to sell it too. Welcome to the My Digital Farmer podcast, where we reveal online marketing strategies and tips to help farmers like you get better and more confident at marketing. Learn how to find more customers, increase your sales, and build a strong brand for your farm. Let's start the show.
Well, welcome to episode 240 of the My Digital Farmer podcast. I'm your host, Corinna Bench, one of the farmers at Shared Legacy Farms out in Elmore, Ohio. I'm also the founder of MyDigitalFarmer.com, which is all about trying to help other farmers like you get more confident in your marketing and sales strategy so that you can build a marketing machine that grows a profitable business. How's everyone doing today? Welcome back to the show. Happy December. Big shout out to all of my regular listeners. Really glad you're back. And if you're new to the show, I've had quite a few new subscribers coming onto the podcast. And so I want to make sure I say hello to you, and I hope you get a lot of value out of today's interview episode. If you are kind of green when it comes to marketing, and that's why you were showing up for the podcast in the first place, I want to encourage you to go back and listen to some of my previous archived episodes. I always tell people to start at episodes 1 through 10. I designed them a long time ago to be like an on-ramp into the marketing space. But you can also certainly scroll through the archives and find topics that interest you. There's a lot of good stuff here to help you get better at marketing. Now, you can also get onto my email list, which I highly recommend. I get really good marks for the first 3 months worth of emails that you get from me. You get subscribed to kind of an email welcoming sequence, and I basically walk you through a crash course in farm marketing, the main principles. I give you some resources, freebies, point you to people you should know and be following, and just generally share a lot of great value. So get on that list if you haven't already. Go to mydigitalfarmer.com/subscribe. Today's podcast is sponsored by my friends at Local-Line. It's official. Local-Line has launched their new and highly anticipated subscriptions feature. Now, creating subscriptions for your customers has never been easier. Subscriptions allow your farm to turn one-time orders into recurring revenue. Use Local-Line's subscription feature to run your CSA or increase your cash flow and increase customer loyalty. Subscriptions is very flexible. You can add, edit, and cancel subscriptions at any time in your back office and allow customers to manage their settings and add one-off purchases to their orders. You can also offer different subscriptions for different customers, like a standing order for chefs and a CSA box for CSA members. Local-Line's subscriptions feature also supports variable weight products like meat and seafood, so you can offer subscription products to all your customers, no matter what you sell. In addition to all of that, Local-Line subscriptions is very affordable. You can add it to your Local-Line account for just $25 a month. Now, for podcast listeners of the My Digital Farmer podcast, Local-Line is offering a free premium feature for an entire year when you sign up using my coupon code, MDF 2023. That includes subscriptions. So why not try it out today? I love Local-Line. Head to mydigitalfarmer.com/local-line and be sure to use my coupon code MDF 2023 to get that free premium feature for one whole year. For more information, check out the link in the show notes. And now back to the show. All right, before we get started with my interview today with one of my accelerator members, I thought I would just catch you up to speed with what's going on in my life, make a few announcements here on the front end. This is the beginning of December. Isn't that crazy? I don't know about you, but we have a lot of really awesome Christmas traditions in my family. I think partly because my mother was from Germany, and so there are so many beautiful things they do in the German culture around Christmas time. One of them is the Advent calendar, and I'm not talking about the little dinky one that we buy from the store that has the little chocolate in it. I'm talking about serious Advent calendar. Every year since my kids were little, we actually make our own Advent calendar. It's a custom build, usually out of different kinds of cardboard boxes, and we hide compartments in them. We've had really cool themes like a combine. We did a John Deere combine one year. We've had a really fancy looking jet. We've done a dragon. We did a bulldozer, a tractor, the Titanic. It usually follows the theme or something that my kids were really excited about the year before. And so this year, the theme is Monty Python and the Holy Grail. And it's awesome. We have this calendar that's basically like the castle where the Frenchmen do the taunting. If you're familiar with this movie, it's hilarious. And then I was working last week on the Trojan rabbit. That's like one of the main props in the scene. And we've got a lot of compartments hiding in there. And I always have fun picking out prizes that I can fit in those little boxes. So my kids love Monty Python. We have shown them that movie so many times they have it memorized. And so it's going to be fun watching them do that. Anyway, that's kind of one of the things we do this year. And I'm really enjoying this season. I actually take this month off from my group coaching program from Accelerator. We kind of pause so that we can really do justice and spend some time with the kids. We're going on vacation at the end of December too. We're going to head out to the Portland area and then head to Redwood National Park for 4 days. I got a really nice place on the water that I'm excited about, so we can see the ocean and do some hiking and see my brother and our nephew and nieces. So excited. Hope you guys have some good plans for the off season here. If you have an off season, you can take a little break. I want to make sure that you know about Farm Marketing School. I'm not going to do a huge plug here because I talked about it in a prior episode, but if you are in your off season interested in diving into some marketing continuing ed and you want to build out some of your marketing assets and you want some help with that, Farm Marketing School is there to help you. This is my new online membership. It's a monthly membership. It's basically an on-demand library of my marketing workshops and all the project plans that are going to help you build out some of the key marketing elements in your business. So if you want to take a class on how to audit your sales funnel, or how to update the homepage of your website, or if you want to build your first email nurture sequence or create a promo calendar. These projects are 30-day builds that basically help you get through that job and hold you accountable, give you a plan, walk you through it step by step. This is the stuff that I teach my accelerators, and I hold their hand and we kind of get it done all together. But now I've packaged it in a way where people who aren't in my group coaching program can watch the workshop, can see the class that I'm teaching and get the resource folder. You don't necessarily get the coaching and the mastermind sessions in the Zoom room, but if you're someone who's kind of a DIYer and you just want to get some of this stuff done, I encourage you to go check it out. You can go to mydigitalfarmer.com/FMS. That's for Farm Marketing School, and see what the classes are that are in there right now. I add a new one every single month, so it continues to grow. And you can just binge a whole bunch of them, or you can maybe stay in it for a few months in the off season, get some of those assets built, and then just cancel your membership. Sort of designed it to be an all-in-one school for farmers to get their marketing axe sharpened. And if that's something that interests you, head to mydigitalfarmer.com/FMS. And I hope that is valuable for you. What else? Oh, I am running the 5-day CSA Startup Challenge this week. So if you are a vegetable farmer and you've been thinking about starting a CSA and you feel a little overwhelmed and you would love some guidance, I do this free challenge every year in early December. 5 days in a row. I break it up into small chunks, and each day we focus on one element of the framework for building a strong CSA. So join me, totally free. You can sign up at mydigitalfarmer.com/CSA startup, and you will get sent a quick training every day, plus a short homework challenge assignment for that day to help break it up and get you started. So that's at mydigitalfarmer.com/CSA startup. Lots of stuff going on this month. All right, let's get on to today's guest. I have invited my friend Joanna Shepherd onto the show, and she is one of my accelerator members. She's the co-owner of Cobblestone Farm in Saskatchewan, Canada, that specializes in raising Berkshire pigs. She and her husband, Carl, are a couple of Brits from the north of England, and you are definitely going to hear her fun accent. And Joanna's mission is to save the rare Berkshire breed. And as you will hear, she's really passionate about that. She has kind of 3 different sales funnels. So she's selling whole pigs to breeders, and she's also selling her weanlings to the public, any that she kind of has left over. And then if she has additional pigs that she hasn't moved yet, she'll sell the meat. She'll process the meat and sell those to her local community who lives about 90 minutes away from her farm. So her herd of Berkshire pigs, she free ranges them on 27 acres of pasture all year long. She's committed to allowing her pigs live the stress-free life. If you follow her on social, you will see her cuddling with her pigs. She is way into loving on them. She has this environment that allows them to really breathe fresh air, wallow, root, sunbathe, play, the whole 9 yards. She's a member of my accelerator coaching program. She's blunt, she's bold, she's a risk taker. She says what she thinks, goes after what she wants. We love her in the group, and I'm excited for you to meet her and hear what she has to say about how she's gone about making her audience around her aware of the Berkshire pig, which is a rare pig, getting them interested in wanting to buy it, and slowly building her marketing funnel. So allow me to introduce you to my friend, Joanna. Well, Joanna, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
I'm so excited to finally have you on. You've been in Accelerator with me for, now this is your second time around, and you have some really great stuff to share with us today. I want you to start out just by giving an overview of how your farm got started, where you're located, what you sell, your staff. Just kind of do your best to give an overview of your business.
Okay, so we're in Saskatchewan, which is in the middle of nowhere, Canada. We got started in 2010, but not seriously. I've just been a bit more serious since about 2018. I always wanted to raise pigs because I did work with them when they were in a barn, pig barn, and I hated that. So that was my thing. I just want some outdoor pigs, and I want to do the rare breed ones, because if you're going to raise them, you might as well raise something that's valuable, because we need those old genetics. And so I found a couple of Berkshire pigs, and then it's just, I went from 2 to, we've been up to 100. We're down to about 50 now, just because that's a good number for us. But we don't have any staff. It's just me and my husband, because we don't have the numbers to have staff. So.
And you actually are from England, right? Like everyone can tell from your accent.
Yeah, we moved 2004 from the UK. We came in through the meat industry because we both worked in the meat industry for years. So I've always been something to do with food and eating. So we came in through that, and we just got an opportunity to rent a little acreage, and then it was my pigs that got us out here. I bought the 2 pigs to start with, and some lady from Saskatchewan says, I can't get Berkshire pigs in Saskatchewan. And because I'm a talker, as you know, we talked a while, and she said, there's an acreage for sale down the road from me. Why don't you come and look at it? So we did a 7-hour one-way trip, and I probably spent more time looking at apples in the supermarket than we did at this place. I'm like, yeah, I want to move here. So we just put an offer in, and we bought it, and then we packed up all our pigs and chickens and moved across a province.
Now, for those people who are listening who don't know the distinction between Berkshire pigs and other kinds of pigs, tell us why these are special.
Well, they're a rare breed. There's actually only about 10 registered breeders left in Canada at the moment. We keep losing them. So they haven't been tampered with. Like the stuff you get in the store is all fast growing, grown in intensive like barns. They want them to grow fast. They want them to be lean because apparently we're not supposed to eat lard anymore. So they bred those for those things, like so that they can produce a lot of meat quickly. Ours take a longer time to grow. They have got fat on them. But that's great if you want to raise free range pigs because they need that fat, especially in Saskatchewan where we can get to minus 40 or 50. They're just a nice breed to have if you want to do that kind of raising and if you want really good meat, because they are famed for having the best flavored meat, and it does taste different because it's got fat and marbling running through it. So it's just an old-fashioned breed, one of the oldest breeds, I think.
Now, why is it hard? Is it harder to raise them, or is it just the harder to sell them, and that's why people aren't?
People think that a pig's a pig, right? Or that's what they'll say. A pig's a pig. Well, so it's harder to sell to somebody with that mindset. But anybody who's tasted Berkshire pork know there's a difference. And then they're like, oh, yeah, I want that. Now, it's not for everybody. Some people don't like fattier pork. But they're not harder to raise. I think they're easier to raise. I just feed mine, make sure they've got water and bedding, and they go out and do the rest, and they go to the pasture and do whatever they want. Yeah. And they're a nice, calm animal to have around. We have a lot of homesteaders that want pigs for their kids to be around. No animal is safe, though. I have to say, I always tell them that, like, these are not a toy. You have to show some caution, but there is some breeds of pigs that are aggressive, and these are not an aggressive breed. So, right. Plus, we don't keep anything that shows that. We wouldn't keep it anyway. That's the whole reason why I do the registered part, so we can track the good traits.
So let's talk about the actual products that you sell. So okay. You kind of have a couple of different tracks here. Why don't you describe that?
So we do. I'm really wanting to save the breed, because once they've gone, and this happened in the UK, they've lost breeds of pigs. So I'm really wanting to make sure that we always have Berkshire pigs. We need to save our food at the source. So that's my main goal, is to raise registered pigs. When you do that and you've got a litter of 8, not all those are going to be any good for breeding stock. So we have the breeding stock that we sell to people who are really into the genetic side. That's people who want registered pigs are just really focused on the genetics, and they get that side. And you've got people who want to raise pigs for their family and maybe a couple of neighbors, and they will take the ones that don't make the grade for breeding. But we only sell castrated males for that. So I don't know what's going to be born. So if I get 8 females, we're left with the females that don't make the grade for breeding. So that's what we sell for meat, is the ones that we don't sell for weanlings and we don't sell for breeding stock. So that's why I have a lot of focus on my meat, because you can end up with a lot of pigs really fast if you're not careful.
Yeah. So let me just be clear. So you actually have kind of 3 different potential outlets, right? You have, I'm actually selling the pig itself to a breeder, or I'm selling the pig itself to a person who wants to have like a pet for a while. Is that fair? And then maybe they'll eat it eventually, but you don't actually process it. And then you have, I'm selling the pork that I've processed. Is that correct?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's 3 different audiences.
3 different customers. Yeah.
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 Which one is the one that makes you the most revenue, or is it kind of an even split?
It varies. It's kind of, it's hard to say because I don't know it's always guessing, right? Because I don't know what's going to be born every year. So I don't know, like meat in 2020 meat sales were huge, but 2020, right?
Right, right.
But we also we did go to the farmers market. So when 2020 came around, we had the farmers market shut, and we did a lot of meat sales from that. But since then, we've had drought years, so I've cut back because it was easier not to have to try and find grain from everywhere in the world, because it's really been hard to find feed. So so we've cut back because of that. But I just go with the flow. So I know that sounds not a very good way to do, but
no, that makes sense. So it's almost like you probably, I know you do, because I'm working with you, but you have different marketing strategies for either of these enterprises, and you sort of just dial them up when you need to and dial them down when they're not needed.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So let's just spend a little bit of time parsing this out with the different niche audiences here that you have. So if you are selling some of them to breeders, like, do you just have a list of people who are calling you and saying, whenever you've got a next litter, I'm ready? Or are you actively trying to find more customers there? What do you know about that customer? Where are they?
Well, I have, they find me through my website. That's the best thing I ever did, was build a website. And because once you've done it, you don't have to do much to it. You maybe have to update it a bit, but it's not constant, like going on social media. So I have my website with about my pigs on there, and I've got some video links that they can see. Some of them do find me actually through Instagram, and then they'll go to the website. But mainly people are looking for Berkshire pigs or Berkshire breeding pigs. So that's how they find me. And then there's a wait list. So they sign up to a waiting list. And the waiting list is also for people. It's just 2 in 1. It's also for the ones who want weanlings to raise. So they sign up to that, and then they'll get like a welcome series, the nurture sequence that you taught me.
Through email, yes.
Yeah. So they'll get their welcome series. And then when we have pigs, I'll just say, or when we're breeding pigs, I'll just say, right, we're going to be breeding this, and we'll be expecting pigs in whatever, 4, 5, 6 months. And then if they don't want them in 6 months, they can go look somewhere else. But at least they get updates all the time on my waiting list. So
gotcha. This is reminding me of like when I was looking for a new golden retriever puppy, and I was getting on the list for a breeder, because I'm like, let me know when you have puppies. It sort of sounds a little bit like that. Are these people who are looking for, I guess, are the breeders, do they come back year after year? Are they repeat customers too?
They will, well, no, because they'd be breeding their own, right?
Okay,
but they will come back for a new boar.
Okay.
So they come back for a new bloodline every so often. And that's, see, because the genetics are so, the gene pool is so small here. Somebody has to be bringing in different bloodlines, and nobody wants to do that because it's expensive. So it's it's really difficult. It's really difficult to get them to come back year after year. The weanling people will come back year after year. Those are the ones that buy them for meat. They just keep them for 6 or 7 or however long, 7 months. They'll come back year after year. And if they're on my list and they bought pigs this year, they get the first emails next year. And if they don't buy, they go to the bottom of they go back with the general population again. But once you've bought from me, you get first dibs.
Right. So you reward that behavior. I would guess too, you made a comment that your website was the greatest thing you ever did for the breeder portion of your product suite. And that kind of makes sense because you're so rare. A person who, goes to Google with intention, like, I need to find a breeder. There's only, you said 10 in all of Canada. So you're probably going to pop up.
Because most of them don't have websites.
Yeah.
So,
Okay. So we've got 3 different kinds of audiences, and it feels like you've got the breeder one sort of dialed in. Like, that's pretty easy to manage. It's maybe the other 2 that you've had to build some more intentional marketing around. What were some of the problems you were running into when you were first trying to figure out how to sell my meat or my weanlings?
Well, price is an issue here.
Okay.
But but I don't know. So when we started out, when we came here, everybody was charging $1.50 a pound for pork. So I just did what everybody else does. Oh, let's copy the farmer down the road because that's the price. And I had no clue about pricing. Well, I didn't even think about pricing it out, which was really stupid. But we didn't have a lot, so I wasn't selling any pork at $1.50. So I started a marketing course, and I'm thinking, I need to not just be marketing this. There's something wrong. I need to be looking at the numbers, and it's not. I need to get more money for them. So I doubled it, and then I started to get sales. And I thought, well, that's odd. Like, I've doubled my price and I've got sales. Yeah, I thought, if you're not selling them at 150, what does it matter if I put them up to 3? So I put them straight up to 3, and then they started to move, which I'm selling a premium product. So of course at 150, why is it as cheap as everything else? That's right. Because I'm selling to a different client. I'm selling to somebody who wants a premium product.
And where the pricing is marketing, like it's communicating high level quality. And when you don't have that high price, it almost is like, what's wrong with this pork?
Exactly. I think like that all the time. When I look at a price, I'm like, why is that so cheap? How can they do it so cheap? And it's like there's a lot of things that we run into just in the pork, the backyard pork industry. I'm going to call it backyard. I don't know whether that's the right word, but people who just raising a few and they're just feeding them whatever, which it does alter the flavor of the pork. So I want consistency with mine. So I get that with the breed and with the feed too. So
so price was one of the problems that you sort of had to troubleshoot and figure out, like, how do I price this so that I can actually sell them and make money? Was there any other problem that you were kind of facing early on? Like, how did you find your customer? Like, did your customer know what a Berkshire pig was? Did you have to do any differentiation there, like to explain what this is?
I do explain it, because a lot of people have no clue. The meat people, my oldest customers that came to me for pork, they specifically Googled Berkshire pork, and they've stuck with me for years. But there's not that many people that know what it is, because it's also called Kurabuta. So, and I've even got customers who don't know it's the same thing, right? Because the Japanese call it something different, and depends who's selling it, what words we use. I don't use that one so much, but it is in some of my emails to let people know it's the same thing. So mostly for the pork end of it, there's not that many that want Berkshire pork specifically. They just want well-raised. They just want them to be well-raised and happy. And I don't know if you've seen any of my videos, but I'm there all the time with them, and they're not just pigs out in a field. They're super social, and they're happy pigs, and that's what we focus on, because we do have customers. That's what they'll say. I would feel guilty eating pork from a pig barn, and I don't feel guilty eating yours because we know how you are around them, and they have the best life. So that is a big thing for us.
So, and your messaging is definitely, like, when you have a choice about what am I going to talk about as I show my farm and my brand and my product suite, that is definitely one of your big messages that comes through. It's that my happy pigs, like the life they live. Because you know that's what your customer wants to see. That's probably the most important.
Well, it's what I want to see as well, because like I have worked in that. We had them on the farm that I grew up in. And they had to be raised a certain way. Because I think my mum was contracted to a feed company, and I said, well, why do they chained them up by the neck? Like, that's horrendous. They just stood chained up. And I said, why can't we let them out? We used to let them out all the time. And not, my dad would be like, what? But I said, why can't we let them out and they run around? But no, this is how the feed company wants them raised. I'm like, oh, this is awful. So I do have that. I don't know. I always feel like I want to make it better for the ones that mine have to have the best that they can have. So
what are some of the other questions that customers have before they want to buy from you?
for the weanlings, everybody wants to know how long it takes to get them to market weight. Like, how long do they take to grow? And that's a real tricky question, because it's, what are you going to feed them? How are you going to house them? How big do you want them? Because you can eat pigs from like suckling pig up till whatever size you want to grow it to. So there's so many variables on that. So I mean, I explain all those to them and just say, this is what we do. And I don't have a timeline on mine because of the weather. The weather does, that can slow their growth sometimes. So I just, that's one for those. And then the meat people, if they've never had Berkshire before, they're worried that it's going to taste gamey maybe, or how different does it taste? And it's hard to explain. It's just better. It just is, it's just better. So, and the fat, if I noticed, because I come from the era where we were all on the fat-free diet, right? So I noticed that people that my age that haven't tried Berkshire, it's too fatty for them. If they've been on the fat-free diets and they're scared of fat, it won't. Like, I'm looking at the marbling thinking that's beautiful marbling. They're like, oh, it's got fat in it. Like, yeah. So that is, I just know they're not going to buy, right? So, which is fine. It's so those are, but the price was one. I had one lady said that she was concerned on the price, but then she bought some ground pork and she said, it doesn't have water in it. I said, well, why would it have water in it? Like, well, the stuff from the store has water in it. Well, we don't add water to our pork. Yeah. It's just the natural product.
Yeah. Would you rather sell more weanlings or more pork cuts?
Preference? I'd rather sell more registered. I'd rather sell more registered.
Would you? That's your preferred. Okay.
Well,
is that because of your mission, or is that because of the revenue?
Well, because I'm on a mission. Yeah, because of my mission. So, because I just think it'd be great if there's a lot more people doing it, but they're all going to run into the same problem. They don't know how to market it, right? And that's why we have like so many of them quit, because so the ones that I get now, I talk to them about that. Like, you can take this, but we need to help you market it properly so that you're not going to lose money.
Lose it. Yeah. Well, let's shift a little bit now to the marketing of it, because you've been on this journey of trying to become the marketing ninja of Berkshire pigs for a while, before you even started working with me. And I'd love for us, we're going to kind of walk through your journey here with some questions, and hopefully we can tease out some of the things you've been learning along the way. And I know you're not done learning. There's always more we can discover. Let's try to talk about, it's hard because you've got like three different funnels. Let's talk through kind of your sales funnel. How does a customer find out about you? Let's do like the weanlings or the meat pork side, because we sort of know SEO is helping you with the first sort of product where you're saving the breed. Where does it all begin? How does the customer learn about you exist? Is it word of mouth? Is it Googling?
Yeah, we have so we do have we have Kijiji up here. I don't know whether you have Craigslist maybe.
Okay, it's like a Craigslist.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, so we have that, and I have a constant. It's free, so I have a constant advert on there for Berkshire pigs. It's there every time it comes up for reposting, I repost it. But that directs them to my website, or if they come through the messaging for that, I will say, like, if you want pigs, I've got a website, or if you want pork, the same with pork. I used to get most of my pork sales through there till Facebook. People they started on Facebook, I guess, selling pork. But I've always used that one. I got some sales actually through newspaper. I've been in a few newspapers. So we got some customers, like some loyal customers through newspaper.
So these are people that are actively going to search for a Berkshire pig specifically?
Most of them aren't, but no, most of them aren't searching for Berkshire.
They're just searching for pork, and then they see your things
local
comes up.
pork.
Okay.
Yeah. There's very few searching for Berkshire.
Okay.
Though I keep, I use the Berkshire pork, and I explain to them that
Sure.
this is what it is. And also it's not, I think some people think it's that's my farm name. They don't get that it's a breed. So yeah, it's
So what happens after they initially discover your website or they hear about you? What's the next step that you're trying to like coach them to take after that?
Well, if they go on the website and they want pork, I've got a lead magnet. My favorite thing to do. I've got a lead magnet for, I think it's barbecue tips I've got right now. So they get that. So if they sign up, they get that. Then they get the nurture sequence, and through the nurture sequence, I've got a little bit of information about the pigs and the farm, and then I've got some about. There's a big thing about stinky pork. A lot of people won't eat pork because it stinks, which that can come from the pig barn or male pigs that are uncastrated. Some people, it's a real arguing point. You can either smell it or you can't. And I've got a lot of customers who bought from a farmer and they've got stinky pork. And it's because some people can't smell it. So if you can't smell it, you don't know it. You
don't even know what you're talking about. Yeah. I'm sitting here going, really? A stinky? I'm just trying to think. Wow.
It's the male smell, but also if they're in if they're in a pen and they're just in mud all the time, like a barn pig has a smell. You'll smell because they're in conflict. It's like being in a lift with somebody with BO, right? You can't get that smell out of your, you can just smell it. So, and that comes through in the pork. So that's a big thing that people have. I didn't realize till actually since I started doing the accelerator course. I don't know why I thought of it. But that's a big thing. But that's just the whole pork industry.
Okay. So your customers are aware of this already, and they're kind of wanting to make sure before they invest in you that like, do we have this problem here?
Yeah. Because I got somebody who bought a pig straight away after I sent that email out, because I said we don't do this, So it's
interesting. Let me back up for a second and just have you explain the nurture email sequence, because we might have people listening for the first or second time who have no idea what you're talking about. Can you try and just say, like, you built that with Accelerator, with my group? What kinds of stuff, what is it, like, big picture, and then like what are you trying to accomplish with those series of emails?
Okay, so the way I think of it is, so if I'm talking to you now, I could probably sell you a side of pork. I could probably talk you into it because I'm like that. But no, but with it, when you're doing email marketing, it's really weird because you don't have any feedback from the other person. So I actually went through questions that I get asked, and I try to do it like a conversation with people and go through, the things that they, like the stinky pork or the fact that they want free range. I try to put in, like I was having a conversation with somebody about our product.
Yeah, so you like focus on one thing for a while in an email and just talk it out.
Yeah, and they're well, apart from my first one's quite long, I guess, because Camilla told me I needed to do my love story. I'm like, what? Camilla's on the accelerator with us.
Yeah. Like, shout out to Camilla. She's amazing.
And I said, who wants to hear about my love story? Nobody wants to know about that. I said, I met Carl in a slaughterhouse. And she says, I want to know about that. And I'm like, okay. Like, it's the most romantic place on earth. No, but so so it's just a series of small emails, just you're bringing them into the farm, but through email.
Yeah. So how long was yours? Did it end up being 4 emails?
I think it's 5 now, and I'm doing another one to add to another one to it.
Yeah. And do you find that helps? I mean, are people opening them? And I get the impression that people like reading your emails.
Yeah. I do get that
talk
a lot.
About. Yeah.
I've got people actually all over the world on my email list, which doesn't help my pork sales, but as somebody in Sweden, I'd like to know if they're listening. I'd like to know who they are.
This podcast is sponsored by the Thriving Farmer podcast. Today, we are starting the Farm Business Minute. For the next 8 weeks, Michael will be sharing a quick farm business tip. Let's dive in to the question of the week. All right, Michael, we have a lot of different people that listen to my show. They have all different kinds of farm enterprises. I want you to tackle this question today as your farm business tip. Animals, vegetables, or both?
And I think you could expand that to, vegetables, tree crops, brambles, soap, milk, cheese. And I think that there's so many things to do out there. And one of the things I would say is if you're just getting into farming and you aren't full-time in it yet, go and experiment a little bit. Talk to a bunch of different farmers, go to intern or try a couple different opportunities just to kind of see what works for you. Once you start to kind of narrow and focus on your enterprise, I think it's very important to pick a enterprise and stick with it and be strong in that. I'm not saying you can't do both, but what I would say is until your business is more mature, having one thing that you really focus on, I think is important. It comes back to your goals. It comes down to what your property supports. So if you have, a 400-acre farm in the middle of probably Montana and you have clay soil, you're probably going to want to focus on grass-fed beef. That's probably the best fit. And you want to focus on that. Now, I'm not saying you can't do a few vegetables on the side, but that's going to be what your property and your enterprise is probably going to be best for. When we were in farming in New York, we did 95% vegetables, and then we tried to dabble in some protein, and that for us was eggs and turkeys and broilers. And what we just found is unless we had a specific key employee that their goal was and they loved that aspect, the animals just dragged the operation down. And the other thing with that too is that the food safety aspect. One of the things that we've chosen here on the farm on Central is we have no animals because, a tractor drives in to take care of the animals, gets manure on the tire, and then comes out and goes right into vegetables. That's a cross-contamination. So in that situation, typically you'd want to have separate tractors or a wash down procedure. But even with the wash down procedure, those aren't 100%. So that was one thing that we're always thinking about as well. But again, the thing is what I would be if, someone's wanting to partner or wanting you to do animals, see if you can find another farmer that wants to partner. Maybe one field is in animals for a couple of years, and then you swap them back to your vegetables. So you're keeping a little bit further cross-contamination away. But also, where are your energies spent and running your numbers too? What's making you actual money? We made the money on the vegetables. My brother, he loves animals. He's great with those. With vegetables, it's his garden. And he really has had really good success with the animals because that's his passion and that's where his mind is wired that way. So do what you're passionate about, what you're good at, but also what makes the numbers and what fits the land that you're on or the enterprise and your marketing avenues.
Yeah, I was thinking about there's sort of this fine line between building up a product ladder, because the more products you have, then the more revenue you can make, right? But at the same time, you want to be able to keep your messaging simple, because there is such a thing as having so many things that you don't even know what to talk about. So that idea of having your niche, knowing what your niche is and really majoring in that when it comes to talking about your messaging or where your resources are allocated, I think can be smart.
Well, and what you've gotten is you have your vegetable CSA, but then every so often you have an additional offer that you have a fair number of other offers, protein and such offers that you can offer. And so I think that's a great way to do it. Again, partnering. I think there's so much opportunity of folks sharing back and forth of how we can work together. Because again, we all are facing this in a slightly different way, but we're all typically going after a lot of the same avatar. If we're selling clean, regenerative food, there's a pool that we're all, going after. And so if we can share the audiences back and forth, I think it's just a win for everybody.
If you want even more farming tips like this one, make sure to check out the Thriving Farmer podcast. Every week, we connect with an interesting guest from farmers, both new and experienced, talented artisans, or an industry expert sharing about how farmers can thrive. With over 250 episodes and 1 million downloads, there is an episode for everyone. Visit thrivingfarmerpodcast.com or search your favorite podcast app for Thriving Farmer.
That was your farm business tip of the week. Check out the Thriving Farmer podcast with Michael Kilpatrick on your favorite podcast app. And now back to the show. So you're writing these nurture emails. In the process, you are talking about the thing you sell kind of anecdotally, right? So they're becoming aware of the offer, sort of. Is there a point though when you issue the pitch, is it only done over email, or do you do it live in person with some people? Are you ever on the phone? Like, what does that pitch moment look like?
So the nurture sequence I did have after my stinky pork email. I thought I'm going to put the sales email after that. So I put an email on there, like, if you want something and we don't have it, let me know what you're looking for, or because we're quite often sold out. So I have like a form that they can fill in if they want something, or they can put a deposit on a side of pork straight away, because I know I've got some. But that's the one after the pain point, I guess. I guess I'll find out how many people that is a pain point for by how many orders straight away.
So that's an automated, that's in this, basically an automated email. Okay.
Yeah.
Now you also have a weekly email practice though, don't you? Or every, I don't know how often your cadence is, but you have sort of a broadcast email that goes out occasionally.
Yeah, I try to do every week. And I try to keep them really short, and it takes me I don't know, it takes me ages to write one, because I write down everything I need to write down, and then I cut it back to really short and punchy. So I'm probably a lot slower than most people at writing emails, but I just
do those generate sales for you though? I mean, are those helping?
Well, that's the only way I've got to sell.
Yeah.
But I will, if I need to make, because sometimes I'll just think, right, I've got to move this pork, and I will text people, I will call people, I will just say, hey, do you need anything? Are you okay? I've got this in the freezer. I will do whatever I need to do to make a sale within reason.
You are not, your fulfillment, let's just chat real quick. Fulfillment wise, you are not at a farmer's market. If somebody orders your meat, how are they picking it up?
We deliver.
You delivering it?
We deliver. We can they can pick up at the farm if they want, and they can pick up at the processors if they want. It's just we just do whatever we have to do, really. Yeah. I know we're an hour and a half from everywhere.
Yeah.
So people don't want to drive an hour and a half for a pork chop. So
right. So you create these like windows of time when you will do the delivery.
Yeah, so we go once a month we go to 2 cities, to Regina and Saskatoon, and we go once a month. So sometimes we're going twice. It depends, but generally
I knew that. Okay, I was thinking that you were doing it more often. So that really does kind of limit you, sort of, in terms of like you're trying to help people fill their carts because they're going to live on this pork for a month before you come back around to replenish the stock. If you're doing the individual cuts, I guess, is what I'm talking about.
Yeah, they generally, though, a lot of people want to buy it because they buy it for special occasions, I guess.
Oh, okay.
Like we have a lot of people having a party and we need this.
Interesting.
So yeah, we do have some that are regular and they just won't eat anything else. But they, like, what they don't take, it goes on, the online store, which is why we're always sold out, I guess, or quite often.
Well, that makes sense. If it's more of a special occasion type of meat, then that's gonna have implications for when you pitch it, or the types of promotions. It's almost like seasonal promotions you could build around it, I suppose. Yeah,
we have it cut differently at different times of year as well.
Okay.
Like, or I'll try and come up with something for Christmas, or because it's just I actually try to come up with different cuts all the time just to keep people excited, because pork chop can be not exciting sometimes.
Yeah, change it up.
Yeah, so I do.
You made a comment that you get on the phone, you do whatever it takes to pitch it, and I feel like that would maybe scare some people who are listening, like the thought of having to get on the phone and, like, pitch someone on the telephone or individually reach out to someone. Talk to people about your background. I know that you once worked for the meat industry, and that was part of your job, to, like, sell meat. You were on the phone every day. Can you just tell that story? Because I think it's instructional on what that taught you and how it sort of built your muscle, your tolerance for no.
Well, I actually started out in the UK. I was a purchaser. So I was on the other end. I was the person saying, no, I don't want your stuff. And I noticed that I would always buy off people I liked, even if it cost me a bit more money, because they gave a better service or whatever. There was more value with those people because I knew that they would look after me, whatever. But when we moved here, there was no jobs for a purchaser, and I was just thrown straight into pork sales. And I'm like, I don't want to sell this stuff. I don't know how to sell. I don't like buyers, because I was one. I'm like, and we were selling into Winnipeg, and that's a really hard sale because they don't want to pay. Like I'm talking but every retailer is like that. They want it as cheap, and this isn't Berkshire pork. This was commercial pork.
Okay.
So they want it as cheap as they can get it. And it was, I just had a list. I went through the list every day, rang everybody. And I knew the thing with that is you get immune to the no's, because you know that most of them aren't going to want pork every day because they got a box of loins yesterday. So they don't need another box today. They haven't sold what they got yesterday. But I called them every day, and I never asked them, what do you want today? I just would talk to them, because I'm lucky I used my accent, because it was like, oh, you've got such a cute accent. Okay, what do you want to talk about?
It is so endearing. I could listen to you all day. I'm like that with Australian people. So anyone listening who's from Australia, like, come onto the show. I'll let you come on as a guest.
Yeah, I would just talk to them like, how's your weekend? Whatever. What have you done this weekend? And then at the end, I'll say, do you need pork? Are you good for pork? I'll call you tomorrow, see whether you need anything. And they're like, yep, just call me tomorrow. We're good today. You kind of, I don't know. I got used to it. I got used to then I got another job, and I didn't have a client list. I had to go through the phone book and cold call people and I didn't know this when I started there, but no, your job is to develop your own client list. I'm like, what? Like, this is not good. So it was.
Yeah. So put yourself back into 2023 in the present day, and the idea of just calling a customer you already have on your list and just being like, hey, I got some extra pork. Like, that doesn't feel so hard in comparison to what you used to have to do. Right.
No, and if they don't need it, I mean, I know people have small freezers here, right? They don't have room. I just don't. I just worry that I'm not uncomfortable. I worry whether they would be uncomfortable if I was. But I generally firstly reach out to people who I know are okay to say no. They'll just say, no, we're good. And that's fine. You know, I'm not. It doesn't bother me the same.
Yeah. Well, you also do a really good job of building that relationship and connection with people. I mean, I've read some of your emails, and you're just very authentic. That sort of essence of you comes out. And so I think that's the spirit in which people pick up the phone and listen to you, like, oh, this is going to be Joanna. And this is the real Joanna. She's in all her bluntness and, wonderfulness. Okay. So talk to me about how else are you connecting with your customers and your subscribers and your fan base? What are some of the other things you're doing just to build connection? You've mentioned email a lot. You haven't really talked much about social media. Do you want to just share what you were doing on there to try and make that happen?
Well, I don't like social media really.
Yeah.
But I actually like Instagram because I can put videos and music on there, and it doesn't feel like I just do that because I think it's fun. But it also it gives people, especially the farm community, it gives them a sense of how we raise our pigs. And because I also wrote an ebook on raising free range Berkshire pigs, and I do consulting, so I kind of put that out for those so they can see what we're doing. So that's not really for my meat. I don't really do it for my meat customers' social media. It's more because it's got such a worldwide audience. My ebook can be bought worldwide, and so can my consulting. I don't need to be there because we're in a province where there's only 1 million people, and they're spread out over 250,000 square miles. So I need another revenue stream. So that's what I do the Instagram for. So that's yet another one to add to my thing. That's 4, 5. But that's what I do for Instagram. Facebook is more localized. I guess that's the age group, right? Facebook age group is different.
It is.
And I did get a lot of those from the newspapers.
I want to interrupt here because I know you've told me that you've been in Facebook jail. I'm using air quotes right now. A few times. Can you just talk about like that? Because that's a little bit of a danger, I guess, for anyone who's raising animals. Can you just talk a little bit about what that was like and what you had to do to overcome that?
I stopped using it for a while, but they just take your post down. They'll say that your post does not align with whatever Facebook rules are. So I don't really advertise meat on there or pigs. I just do the videos. I advertise my lead magnet on there. Sometimes I will put a picture of a product that we've got, but I don't often go on there and advertise meat. Like if I go onto a Facebook group, I'll just say, if you're looking for higher welfare pork that's renowned for being the best tasting pork in the world, we're right here in Saskatchewan, and you can go to our website and check out what we've got, or feel free to reach out and ask me questions, which I guess is an advert, but it's not pork for sale, $2 a pound.
Right.
Whatever.
It's an indirect ask. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
What if you only had, you said that you're primarily doing marketing, that you spend a lot more time behind the computer these days. If you could counsel people who are listening, and if you only had a couple of hours a week to do marketing, where do you feel like that time is best spent?
And that would depend on the person, because I think it depends where they get their audience. Like if they're at the farmers market, well, they're at a farmers market, you've got 8 hours of face-to-face marketing, haven't you? But like for me, I spend my time on email and blogs, which actually I have to say I haven't done a blog for a few months. But I do mine on there because I don't really have anywhere else. I don't count Instagram and Facebook really, because like I said, Instagram is more fun for me because I'm like, how can my pigs walk to this music funny or whatever? So I don't count that. Actually, I am doing YouTube though. I'm starting doing more on YouTube because a lot of my meat customers aren't even on social media, but they are on YouTube. So I thought, why am I not putting stuff on there?
Yes.
Because I don't know. Yeah, I mean, they have rules too, I guess, but I've just started to do more on there because I realized I would send out things, like an email, and my customers who just get my emails, they don't have any videos of my farm. They're not seeing how the pigs are all the time. So I thought I'm going to definitely focus on that for a while. See how it goes. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work, right?
Yeah. Oh, I love that. I love that you just have this testing mindset. Like, I'm going to just try this out, and if it, throw it against the wall and see what results, if it's worth the energy. I think that's really brilliant to think about, where is my audience actually hanging out? I look at my kids, my 2 boys who are 12 and 15 right now, and they spend a lot of their free time at home. Like, I have limits around how much screen time they can have, but if they're on a screen, they're on YouTube. Yeah. And I just think about that demographic. Teenager boy is, looking, at least my kids are looking at airplane and farm machinery videos and 3D printing, whatever, like trying to learn how to do it. And, what does that look like for our customer? If they're on YouTube, what are they watching? And, what content could we be creating to warm them up? That's really smart.
Yeah. And I also noticed though, YouTube headlines work differently from email headlines.
Say more about that.
Well, so when I do my email marketing, I do a headline analyzer, and I always try and get over 70%. Now, I've used those headlines on YouTube and I get nothing. So that's a whole new, I haven't even looked into it yet, but I'm thinking this is a whole new thing. I'm going to have to learn how to do headlines on YouTube.
Yeah.
Which is, I know it's only a little. thing, but it's
and
weird.
thumbnails too are a whole like science to master the thumbnail, because people are making split-second decisions on whether they should watch it based on that. Yeah. Okay, so what have been some of your big aha moments as you've been going through your marketing journey, learning how to be a better marketer, and not just things you've learned since you and I worked together, but before that, like what are the things that sort of drive your business model?
Well, I have to do it by myself. I know that sounds weird. I have to do it by myself. I don't follow anybody. I don't know whether I said that at the beginning already, or whether I've said this already, but it's got to be about you and your business and not what your neighbor's doing. You have to do it by yourself, which is kind of, but apart from we use you, you're helping us, right? That's great that you help us. But that is an aha moment, I guess. Well, it was for me.
Do you mean don't compare yourself to what other people are doing? Yeah. Is that what you're saying? Okay.
Yeah, don't compare yourself. Don't compare your prices, because somebody's always going to tell you can't do it, right? So you just have to be focused, and you have to know that that's how you have to train yourself to actually just get in there and do it. And if it doesn't work, change it. Like you can always change it. Nothing's set in stone, right? You can always pivot. You can go a different way. There's always another way. So that's kind of a aha moment, I guess. Or I always have backup plans. I hope you need a backup plan.
Yeah, or trust that the universe will present a backup plan.
Yeah.
When it's time. Yeah.
Yeah.
Another
you always
option.
So I don't know whether that's kind of what I've learned though. And also I know I learn differently than other people, I think, which I sometimes, I guess I struggle. I don't struggle because I just make it work, but some people pick this stuff up. Like I used to see people who were not farmers and they'd be farming and crushing it. And I'm like, how can they do that when they're not a farmer? How can they do that? And it's because they came from a marketing background, or they came from a different background. They learned to farm. But farmers need to learn to market to the public. And I think that's a problem. A lot of them want to raise their animals, but they don't want to deal with people, or they don't know how to deal with people. Not an aha moment for well, it is yes, it is, I guess. But just because I'm a farmer doesn't mean I'm any good at selling, right? That's what
it's a skill you have to practice. And learn along with any other as a business owner. Yeah.
Yeah, and just keep going on it. I don't know. I don't know why. I just like doing it. I like the marketing side. Because I do like talking to people. Because if you talk to people, you find out more about what they want, right? So the more you can talk to. Plus, it's very lonely in Saskatchewan. So there's nobody here.
I mean, I've been listening, as you've been sharing in this interview, I've been hearing some aha moments that are some key principles that sort of drive what you do. And, one of them, for instance, just being that you're connecting with your customers. You realize how important it is to be relational. You learned that in your phone sales work long ago, and you found a way to incorporate that now into your own business. The authenticity part of telling the story of your pigs and just being authentically you. And that's seems to be driving the connection with your clients. And I think you're also like patient. I think you see that this is not something that materializes in a series of months, but that you're willing to build and invest in the foundation pieces and then trust that the fruit will come once you've created those pieces. And I feel like you're starting to see some fruits of your labor in the last few, like maybe in the last year. Like what have been some of your growth points that you've been excited about?
What do you mean, like selling out?
Selling out. I remember when we first chatted, you were like, help me sell. What was it, like 6 pigs? And I was like, I can do that.
I think it was 50.
More than that. Yeah, it was some number. And I'm like, of course.
And I don't know why I was worried, because 2 years ago I sold 50. Like, what is it? And I think I don't know whether it was the selling part or just I just felt like I needed to start fine tuning things. And I actually found that, because I've listened to a lot of your podcasts and I listened to other marketers, the Accelerator is the best course I did, actually. Because
thank you.
Yes, it is. It's the one that I got the most results out of. And I think it's because it's so small and personable. I've been in larger groups and you kind of get lost in the noise. And yeah, if you're not careful, too many people's opinions you know what I mean? I think it's because we feel like we know everybody on the course. So yeah, I don't know,
there's sort of a freedom to just put it out there and get feedback from people and make it better.
I've had more so I did get results because of my website, which I did a course for that, but I just felt lost I felt really lost. I felt like I needed somebody who I could actually talk to and ask questions, and rather than a large group. So that's why I like the accelerator.
Yeah. Do you find that it helps to, because I think all the answers are within you. You've had them all along, but maybe what you were missing was, hey, I want to throw this out into the space and I just need someone to validate that I'm not crazy. Like, is this a good idea? And that's all you really needed to take action, like just to be like, okay, here I go then.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I think it's also, there is that. And I shouldn't be scared. Like I do, sometimes I think, what, should I be sending this email out or whatever? And I think, well, just do it, right?
Yeah.
Like I was a bit worried about doing that lead. It wasn't a lead magnet. It was a graphic that we did with the them and us. Mm-hmm. I was a little bit.
I remember that.
Yeah, I was a bit worried about that because that's kind of scary, really.
Polarizing.
But people don't know. That's because I know that there is a need for the big industry, because who's going to feed the world? Mm-hmm. Like I can't feed the world. Mm-hmm. And like you'd need a lot of small farmers to feed the world. So, but do you know what I mean? It's but people don't realize how those animals are raised. So when we did that was scary, but it was okay because Camilla did hers too. We did. It was really weird. We didn't know. And I said, I'm working on this. And she said, that's the same one I'm working on. I thought, well, how odd. Because
that reminds me a little bit of like when you're cliff jumping, not that I've ever done this, but let's just imagine you're cliff jumping and you're looking over the edge and you're by yourself. You would never do it. But if you have someone with you who's like, hold my hand, we're going to do it together. Like it's a little bit more likely that you'll jump if there's someone there in the group doing it with you. And you know that they're going to ask you tomorrow, did you send it?
Yeah. Well, yeah, I actually haven't sent that to my email. I haven't sent it to my email customers because I think they know.
Yeah.
But the thing is, this is what I do. You're going to put it out there on social media. People are going to see it for like 2 seconds and they're going to forget, because if you look how many seconds people watch your videos on social media, they're not watching really. Mm-hmm. Nobody watches them to the end. Nobody reads to the end of what you've written. But I've been testing that this week, actually. See how many people read to the end. But so I just think you just have to do it. Like you say, jump off the cliff, do it, because tomorrow they've forgotten. Unless you keep reminding them, which is what we're supposed to be doing, right? With our lead magnets and stuff. We're supposed to remind them every week. But I wonder, I don't know. Is that too much every week to remind them? I guess it depends if you're posting in between. So, because I did mine differently this week. I posted all that stuff on stories instead of in the main feed. So I started to test that. But that's what you have to do. You just have to do a lot of testing and not be scared to test stuff. Mm-hmm. Because it's not, like I said, it's not set in stone. Yeah. Lots of people try lots of times to get where they are.
Right. What is next for your farm? Where do you feel like you're positioned to do next, or what's the leading edge for you? Where are you trying to push to now? I mean, you've sold all your pigs. What is next?
I sold last year those. I've got more now.
Okay, fair enough.
40. I've got to start again now. I don't think I got 40. I'm trying to help other people set up their own Berkshire pork enterprise or pig enterprise, because like I said, there's less than 10 now in Canada, so we need more. So that's what I'm focused on, which means I can sell my breeding stock. That's always my main focus, I guess. I'd like to do more consulting. Oh, and I'm writing another book, actually. Yeah. So I was hoping to do that over winter, another ebook. And I do them ebooks because I can update them if I have to, because things change. The last one was based on our experiences, and some stuff has changed since I wrote it. So I just do ebooks.
Well, if there's anyone listening who now wants to raise Berkshire pigs, they know who they can call. Are there limits though? Like you could only sell to Canadians, like
I can only sell my meat in Saskatchewan.
Okay.
I can sell pigs across Canada. We get a lot from the US asking if they can import, but they can, but I just tell them to go look up the rules, because I think each of your states has a different rule.
Okay.
And I haven't time to get familiar with all the rules. So so I can only sell meat locally. Pigs can go anywhere in Canada.
Okay. Well, this has been super fun. Where can people learn more about your farm if they want to go check out how you're selling on your website, and
they can go to www.berkshirepork.net is our website, and we're on Facebook at Cobblestone Farm, Naturally Raised Berkshire Pigs, and Instagram at Berkshire Pigs.
And the actual name of your farm is Cobblestone Farm.
Cobblestone Farm, because we came from the cobblestone streets of Lancashire. Yeah. So not to be confused, if you're in Canada, with Cobblestone Farm ribs you get in the whatever, I can't remember, no frills, because they're not mine. Because I get a lot of complaints about those ribs, and I'm like, no, they're not mine.
This has been really fun. Thank you for just coming in and sharing your story. I knew as soon as you joined my group, I was like, she's going to be on my show one day. I know it. I know it took me a while to convince you. You did great. So thanks for being here and helping people see the progression of your business and how you've built a really elegant kind of sales system. And the challenge now will be how to scale it, right? Like how to get it bigger and bigger. And you have a really strong foundation. So thank you for sharing your story.
Thank you.
Well, I hope you enjoyed Joanna's energy. Today's show notes can be found at mydigitalfarmer.com/240. And I will make sure to include her link in those show notes. If you like today's episode, please go leave me a rating or a review, or grab the link for this episode and text it to a farmer friend and say, hey, you've got to check out this podcast. There's so much good stuff in here. Would love it if you would just spread the word that the podcast even exists. Now, don't forget, if you want to get onto my email list and get some more marketing tips to better your farm, please go to mydigitalfarmer.com/subscribe. I want to invest in you. I'm also on Instagram at mydigitalfarmer, and I show up there and do an Instagram story from time to time during the week and share what's going on in a marketing or a leadership tip to help you get better at your business. Thanks for joining me today, you guys. Have an awesome December. Have an awesome week, and I'll catch you next time. Bye-bye.